We are out of storage. According to StreamMate, we're out of storage. But anyway,
No,
hi, we're live.
wait, okay, wait. We don't need the storage.
Yeah, we don't
Now,
need to because
welcome to the
it's all recorded on
172
YouTube.
episode of
Yes.
DevKami. And is it the first week of Ramadan? Yeah, happy Ramadan.
Yes. Yes.
For those that observe it.
Correct. So I'm swimming.
I am Tristan.
I am Chilong.
Correct. So
Correct.
I mean,
Okay.
I try.
I'll be worried.
Yes.
I'll be worried if we say
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
Thank you, teacher,
So
for
it's
the
a-
recitation.
It's a first week of Ramadan. I've tried fasting once, but experienced doctors say I should not try. If you're really a sick person, you should not try in the way that if you're gastric, you should not try it. If you have gout, apparently you should not try it. And if you have diabetes,
body-
you should be careful about it.
Yep. The body doesn't like the shock. That you
Correct.
introduce.
But
And even
if you
fasting
are-
done gradually, like not like just go deep into the fasting routine. Just you have
Correct.
to build it slowly.
you have to smooth it out. So
Yeah.
which is why some of the member community with diabetes can do fasting, can handle the fasting because they already built up the. And I won't be saying resistance, but it's more like they're already used
The
to
body happens to it.
Yeah,
Gradually.
correct. So that's it. It's a holy month, so be nice among many things.
To stop the light sky. Yeah.
Yeah, and also be respectful to each other.
Yeah.
Actually, it's both sides. So yeah. So with that said, let's start with our events. We literally have nothing next week. You have one.
There's a Ruby Tuesday next week, in case
Wait.
you forgot.
Ruby Tuesday is this week, right?
Oh, no, it's
You know,
no, it already happened, I think.
the day
Yeah,
I actually say
Yeah.
I actually treat the weekly DevKami as a meetup. So maybe a bit.
Yeah, so we might as well just call it DevKami
Yeah,
with them.
next week is nothing. Yeah, sorry, it was.
I think if swimming want to try out, we can try to do. Let's see whether
The Python one, right?
Yeah, Python one. Let's code clinic or something, because I noticed that a lot of people, they have even though most of my syntax are pretty limited to the 2 version,
Yeah.
but a lot of the things are lost. Like the first thing when I teach Python is that I tell them about the function.
Yep.
So they don't have to look around for what kind of methods an object has.
Correct.
Wait, so Python has a there method,
Yeah.
just like JavaScript has a this method.
I don't know about the
Oh.
JavaScript one.
Yeah.
No,
How
the
about
actually
this,
list because everything under
There. Okay,
Yeah,
like a directory. Sorry,
yeah,
I thought this
directory.
and there. Like
no.
okay,
The,
no.
the because everything in Python is an object. So
Yeah, correct.
that's the quickest way to get, unless you're using IPython or an interactive repo, is that the way you can find out is using the term function.
Correct. So let's see how it
JavaScript
goes.
thinks that everything is an object, but apparently not. So
Well, so is Java,
These.
but at
Oh,
least
Java
Java
is
is consistent.
No, in Java, not.
No, I think
yeah,
Python is pretty
same
consistent
as-
because the trait, all the operators are actually defined by the special attributes.
Correct.
Right.
So
Like
which
if
is
you
why
want to support add, you need to put add.
correct. And which is why you got operators on it. It's really interesting, but more on that in the future, one day. So that being said, new Dell BIOS bug affect millions of laptops. It's a CVE and
Can it be patched? Or no? What? Oh, is it for the server or
it's
everything?
this is
including
actually
laptops? Oh, what? the
this is all
laptop-
laptops. This is all laptops actually.
Can it be
So,
patched?
I believe there's no recall. As far as I read it, there's no recall and UFI, so probably it's possible.
These are all
Because-
consumer lines, I think.
Yep.
Can you, if you
Yeah.
scroll up with the
Yep.
names?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
these are
so
consumer
that-
lines.
These are
These are all
consumer lines.
Yeah, correct. So this firmware vulnerabilities and it's hitting the UFI interface. So it's possible. It's possible. Because it's not a hardware thing. So it's a firmware update, I believe. It's a firmware update that make it possible. So I mean, system management mode is a special CPU mode. So I think it's a software fixable thing. I mean, if it's that bad, there'll be a serious recall. So
No,
I'm gonna move.
again, this is a consumer line, so I don't think there will be a recall. It's
Yeah.
like because the what they call this the terms and conditions are different from this.
Right. Correct. Okay, so the next one, this is Python 3.11 on the web browser. This is actually a talk by Python Germany, I believe. Was it Germany? Give me Python.de is
DE
Germany,
is
right?
Germany.
Berlin. Okay, so yeah, Germany. So this is a talk about how to port Python to WASM. Which now we covered this partly before. I just wanted to say that the code exists, the talk exists, and it may show on the YouTube sooner or later. This one, Tekayon, they built a new fast file transfer protocol. As if you use SCP and the like, you realize that file transfer is not the fastest thing on the planet if you use it traditional way. HTTP is not any faster, so we try to use a new protocol, create a new protocol.
It's bottleneck, but HTTP
Yeah,
shouldn't be. I mean, that's the behavior that we expect from HTTP.
Correct.
UDT, what?
So they use UDP to create a protocol. It's very typical because for a lot of people, the handshaking of TCP is a bottleneck, quote unquote.
I think it's
So-
a throughput with fault resistance, because you see
Correct.
one of the example is transfer from the machine from Singapore to New York.
Yep, correct. So yeah, this is interesting and you should read because it's about protocol design and why people do protocol this way. So
Okay.
this
and
is
all these are not zero cost.
correct, and nothing is free. I mean, despite one of my favorite group song by Dire Straits, "Money for Nothing," well, there's no such thing. So, I should show you the song later, but probably you can't hear it anyway. So let's move on. So this is Kotlin for JavaScript. So you use Kotlin to compile to JavaScript or call
Kotlin
JavaScript.
as using JS as target.
Yeah. So yeah.
Is it called cross compilation in this case if you're targeting the JS engine, or is it like transpilation, or what do you call this?
Depends
I don't know.
on how the compiler does it. It's if it's an arc, just like similarly to
Okay, they already
some
say this.
It's transpiling.
transpile. It's a
Okay.
transpile.
The transpile and
So it's just
dependency
on
just-
the AST side on the
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
So it and in the end it emits JavaScript. It does
Correct.
not emit like bytecode
It's-
for the JavaScript like
Yep.
WASM.
It's not it's not the same as like LLVM to WebAssembly, I think. Yeah.
Correct.
That
But
is
they do a bit.
the target.
But they do a bit more things in a way that they introduce type safety.
I just read an article. I
Mhm.
didn't. Don't bother sharing it because it's about a Clojure article about Clojure that they say it's a Clojure script used to be more superior, but until the modern script pickup, so it's a lost opportunity for Clojure to catch up.
Yeah,
And now
but
it's a bit too late.
JavaScript, one good thing about JavaScript moving fast, even though we like to make fun of it, is they don't mind bringing in new ideas, right? And they don't mind trying new things. So there's actually one good thing about moving things fast. You can move a lot of good idea very fast. The catch is, of course, there's a cost toward writing production software for this. So
I'm not sure though that if it's a JavaScript that we should be praising, because these are probably made by people who don't want to write JavaScript, and so they
correct,
will write a like a transpiler so that they can get away with writing JavaScript. So it's more
correct,
like
correct, correct, correct.
something like that. So I don't know. I don't know where the praise should be or the credit
No,
should be
no, no, no.
given.
I'm talking about Clojure script, lost
Mhm.
opportunity against modern JavaScript. Yeah.
Okay. Hmm.
So this one is interesting. Not necessarily practical. Because if you see, this is the whole board, so there's a lot of control underneath it. But the idea is very interesting, because this is not just a knob. Okay, we can get the sound. So this is 3D printed. Everything in the round. I'm going to show the video anyway. So this is a round LCD, and there's a knob. But here's the cool thing. I'm going to close the sound here. Can you hear the sound? No, right?
No.
Yeah, you never hear the sound, right? Okay.
No.
So you notice that this thing is assemblage of many things. It's a round LCD with a knob. It's a rotary encoder. So a button for interactivity. And here's the cool thing. What you don't see here is also this thing had a motor behind it. And the reason of motor is so that as you build interaction, you can build resistance. So you don't just have a rotary encoder that just moves smoothly. If you program it at certain condition, you can add resistance to the knob, so that I think this it opens up various interactive opportunity. So, for example, let's say use this to control sound at certain level is too loud, but the rotary encoder will go very loud. So you may use a motor to actually gradually increase the resistance until you really stop. For example, right? It gives a lot of interactivity experiments, I would say. So, which is why I find this interesting. And also, the best thing is this thing is open source, but the component is hard to find nowadays. But yeah, it's a smart knob. So some of the components are not available. So you see here, it's a round LCD with a gimbal motor powered by ESP. Then there is a strain gauge for press detection, RGB LED for controlling the rings, USB. So, okay, I would say for application, it's probably too expensive, but for interactivity reason, I think it's very cool. So, what do you think?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's haptic feedback.
Yep. Correct. So yeah, 3D printed and all that. Let's move on. This one, I think probably most of us is opinion, but
The title is a bit confusing.
correct.
And after you
So
understand it, you'll get the laugh.
yeah. What is it about again? In short,
It's not
Docker.
Postgres in a container.
Yeah.
It is a Postgres extension
Yep.
to manage
Call a
container.
Oh, right. That's silly. But it's
Yeah.
you may think
If you see the example, like what else, right?
Yeah.
If you zoom in, you see
Yep.
you have an extension to control the containers.
Yes, I'm seeing it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it used to be a bit of a joke because I used to think it's funny. It's like why SQL had to add so many things to get things done.
And
Right.
and when you have a payment, everything is a new.
Correct.
Why do you need other things, right?
Because at one time there is idea that let's add machine learning extension on SQL. Let's add what else do they add on SQL? They add a lot of crazy stuff. So
Postgres is pretty fine.
yeah, I
like
mean that
for-
makes sense.
The JSON
The
one
line is pretty.
I think the things that change the game is the JSON support,
Yes, correct.
and that allows us to use SQLs. I mean, RDBMS SQL based RDBMS like NoSQL.
Correct.
Yeah,
Nowadays,
not just JSON, it's the document format because you have the binary format as well as
Yeah.
Correct,
documents,
correct.
and you can index the thing on
Yeah.
Correct.
attributes. So that's interesting.
Yes, and with a queryability, which is very powerful actually. And so yeah, that which is why I say it used to be a bit silly until you can do so many things that make sense in a way. So yeah. So yeah, in this case, this is very funny, but think about it. The JSON component is used to be that, the document component used to be that. And some might argue, do PG stat statement even belongs to SQL, right? Think I would think it makes sense. The way they use it makes sense, but if you think about on a high level point of view, do explain analyze make sense in a SQL command? Do PG stat statements make sense as a SQL view?
Oh, because the SQL is your UI to the database.
Correct,
That's why it
correct,
has all of these things.
correct. So yeah, so this particular one is a bit funny, but I don't think we should make too much joke about this because this capability is what make SQL database very powerful. So, but this example just now shows that it can be silly lah. So this one I'm going to quickly cover. This is actually a block-based UI to allow us to link machine learning models. So in the example here, this linking to use random forest and configure parameter to an output. Does it make sense? I don't think so. But let's say you want to read the experience of teenagers on this. Possibly, I have my doubt, but at least the idea is there. I think the idea is there. Why not? In fact, I think that I believe that machine learning tools in the future it will be a tools. It will not be it will be a tool similar to regular expression, a configurable, powerful, and reusable, and all that. But you need some knowledge to control it, like regular expression. Uh, of course, it will be very different regular expression, and I think GUI tools is one of the way to use this kind of tool, tools. Know what I mean? So yeah. Anything to add? If not, I'm going to move on.
No.
Okay, this is a bit of history. This is why postfix is called postfix. As it turns out, postfix is a project in IBM. IBM have rules about naming application. So the application is called Secure Mailer, but there is already one used by other competitor at that time called Secure Mailer. So they need a new name. So why not Platypus? Because IBM name will reject it. So they decide to use postfix because it's a post, which is another name for mail, and fix is to fix send mail. So yeah, as a result, the mailer is one of the most popular mailer is called postfix. So yeah, just a bit of history. I'm going to move on. Yeah.
These days, most of the time we don't need to do it.
Yeah,
anymore.
correct.
And I
just
don't
that-
even I don't wish it on my enemy to configure their mails as well.
Correct. Okay, not important. I'm going to move on. Google Workspace tracking changes delayed because we use apparently administrator can have this kind of control and they take it, and a lot of people are not happy about it, so they're delaying it. Will it cancel? I do not know because it's Google. Some would argue that it's not in Google's interest to make it people to add more privacy control because they sell ads, targeted ads. So yeah, it is what it is lah. The best way is to start using alternatives, but even that, I don't know. It's complicated. I'm going to move on. This is a cool story that everybody should read if possible. This is actually a Commodore 64. Commodore 64 is actually a project in. I thought this is a UK project. So either way, what our goal is to make a reasonably accessible computer. And so from the MOS technology, so this is actually one of the Commodore 64 is one of the most one of the well-known old PCs lah, and it actually used by quite a number of people. So yeah, this is a story. I actually have it, but I didn't sign in because the kid locked me out. IEEE Spectrum is free to join, by the way. So join it if you can. So yeah, this is a story of how they build it. It's a very cool story. All this story about engineering is very good, and you will learn something out of it. So yeah, I'm going to quickly move on because we had a lot of things to talk about. BoopKit, I think we covered it last time. In short, you can use TCP to send eBPF probe on a server. This is why I wonder why on earth you expose eBPF to the internet, right? I mean, it makes sense if you have servers and you need to debug it, but it's also dangerous as hell. Oh, do you know what is eBPF, or you want me to explain it?
No, I think it's fine.
Yeah,
You're
I think
not
it's
allowed to withdraw anymore, right?
yeah,
Mm,
correct.
okay.
My favorite operating system is out.
No, it has an
So
update. Not
Yeah.
out.
oh yeah. Sorry.
It's been there.
Yeah. My favorite operating system is
Yeah.
there for a while, and then
Too
got a
bad.
new update.
Too bad. System D took over.
Unfortunately, yes,
UID one.
correct. Yes. So yeah, Emacs will forever be just an interface instead of a full operating system that they deserve. So that being said, quite some updates and all that.
Since we are talking about random stuff, is that I use Emacs. The way I use Emacs is the terminal mode,
Mhm.
and I actually met some, even though rarely, that
Mhm.
use the desktop Emacs,
Mm-hmm.
and the terminal one actually behave a bit differently from the desktop one. So we were like scratching our head. What are you talking about? Wait, how do you how, wait? Since when Emacs has the function? Like, because I'm used to the
Correct.
terminal modes.
So not much. The original post do not say a lot about what is new, but I'm opening up a link that says it. The support GTK restart notification.
Yeah, that's probably for the desktop. The
Correct.
plebeian version. Plebeian version.
Correct. They support Unicode version 14, so more emoji on Emac, which I think is
That's for the
fascinating.
desktop version probably as well, because
Correct.
you're limited on terminal. You're limited by the terminal.
Correct. But nowadays your terminal can display Unicode actually.
Yeah,
At
depends on
least
the
I
whole
tried.
server as well.
Correct. On server probably no, but on desktop terminal it can actually. Yeah, very minor stuff, but yeah, it's a fun thing to while it's there. Okay, this is interesting for me personally because I work in an environment where organization love uh the team
Oh,
love lambdas for good reason because you don't have to worry about infrastructure. Of course, there's consequences. Uh, more on that in the future. More on that in the future. But this one is interesting because traditionally, for your lambda to able to access through accessible through internet, you need to set it up an API gateway. Okay, API gateway, and which means that you need to go set lambda one thing, then you need to create a trigger, which will create all that. Then you need, and then on the API gateway, you need to define the routes and all that. So you need to create API gateway, then you need to define the environment slash dev slash prod or whatever. Then you need to define the part. What's the part to it, and what's the then you need to define what's the method, post, get, or whatnot. Then you have to define the payload that you have to wrap across, etc., etc. Very powerful, but also a lot of work if you only care about one. You just have one lambda to do one thing, right? This is interesting because, okay, I don't have an endpoint. I don't have something with me without showing the work, but on the Lambda function, you can just create a URL and it would just work. So yeah, it's not for complex workflow, because on API gateway you can do complex workflow, like you can create an API that actually send a message to Kinesis. Kinesis is AWS, one of a way for AWS to
That is
do asynchronous
gonna make a lot of
event.
people not happy. Is that you discovered you really like your butter knife and you would like to use it for everything.
Yeah, correct.
So now you adapt, like the way you cook, you adapt the food just because you want to find ways to use your butter knife.
Correct.
It's
So
it's a very much the opposite of the big hammer
Hammer
and
in the nail.
Yeah.
correct. So either way, if you have just one time function for that, yeah, this is actually awesome to use. So, but of course, things like serverless framework have their places.
Of course, as AWS, I'm gonna offer it. It's gonna just give me more profit.
Correct. Correct. So yeah,
but it sort of defeat the purpose, I say.
Correct. So yeah, I find it interesting because I can actually use it. Though I also find it
Nice.
a bit scary, but let's see.
It's fine as long you have enough limit.
Yeah,
limits.
AWS actually Lambda is cheap compared to a EC2 instance, which is why people love it. But you also need to be very careful about that. Last two actually. The last two. The first one is DALL-E. I do not know how to.
Yeah.
True.
Dali, I think.
Dali as
this
in
is
the painter.
Yeah.
Salvador or Dali.
Dali, right? I know. So
of course we know.
These thick tags. They don't have. This is the as close as I have it as a demo, because this is a paid product. Paid products. So you can actually take text and use it to generate image.
Yeah.
So
I would say it's fair if it is a paid product, because imagine the time and effort to generate the corpus, right? The training corpus.
Correct. So and this is DALL-E actually uses big models like GPT-3. Those things take a supercomputer sized computer to actually train it. No, it takes a supercomputer to train. So yeah, will it replace artists? Unlikely, because people believe in people involvement. But that being said,
it'll be useful to generate more NFTs.
Correct.
Well, it will be useful to generate images for your blog posts.
Yep.
Because right now you have to
of
ask
course.
like, hey, this is what I want, and then instead of
or
it doesn't have to be specific
background arts and something like that.
Yeah. But that being said, it's different style. So these have their style. Human have a style. So yeah, fair enough.
Well,
So
it's
you
not.
pay.
Well, we don't really need it for like artwork for museums. You just need it for like something in the background, like the people having fun. It's like stock images,
or just an icon, a token.
Yeah,
correct.
A replacement for stock images, which you already have. Like, it's not using AI; it's using photographers tagging their stuff. But that is already what's happening on stock images.
Correct. So yeah, DALL-E is there, and they even have an Instagram account. You can find it themselves. So yeah, DALL-E 2. And finally, we don't do consumer tech, but this is an example. Okay, I do not know the official status of the Xbox in Malaysia.
There's no official support.
Yes, that being
said, selling it, but there's no official support here.
Correct. So first thing, that being said, the Xbox Game Pass for PC is available for us now. In fact, it's available for Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Thailand, and Vietnam, which makes sense because
no Singapore.
Singapore already have it for a while.
Wow, really? Okay, wow.
Singapore is their own world because people will look at Singapore and look at it in modern nation status, so they get a lot of stuff.
Or like
So
at least it's easy. It's a small market, but lots of
yeah,
people. So if
and
they
it's also
fail,
very
then
yeah, and it's also international in the way that they just go in and people were just happy to take it. In many ways, there's a lot of reason to bring there first. Uh, so this is interesting because the Xbox capabilities for Windows already exist since Windows 10. But we officially in our country we do not get the full feature. We can use the feature like screen recording and all that. We all of us even get a name, username. If you actually use those Xbox features, this is the first time where a Game Pass is available to us. And you as a so while Microsoft Store already sell things for a while, it's not linked to Xbox when I last checked. This allows, I believe, that is not linked to Xbox in a way. I do not understand that part, but they use Xbox capability. This one means on the Xbox for PC, you get the full integration. And one of the things you do get from here is the Xbox Game Pass, right? What is the Game Pass here is actually you pay a subscription, then you can install a game while the game is still in the collection.
like Netflix of games almost,
Correct, correct,
but not
uh,
streaming games, but more like access, having subscription access to a
correct,
bunch of games.
correct. But the caveat is you can only install 100 games, which is a lot, by the way. Uh, which is a lot, and
But you can
also
return the games, right? You can
correct,
uninstall
correct,
games
correct,
and install another one.
correct, correct. It's because they come by
I think
installs,
they
but it's
understand.
very
They
generous.
understand that it's the platform that matters.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Exclusivity.
finally,
I think it's almost the end of exclusivity. I think as well
correct.
for consoles.
Correct. So I'm going to show you the collection they have. And another caveat is the game may leave.
Yeah, just like
So
Netflix.
correct. So you need to understand that. But for games that I try to find some of the big more well-known name. Some of the uh okay, so you also need to understand that Microsoft owns Game Studio now, so those things is guaranteed to stay. But all the third party one may not stay. So just know that this will happen. And to show you what game is available, which is why I
Halo
say
is
this
there. I already see Master Chief
correct.
uh, there.
So you can see that all these Microsoft games there is then you have BattleTech, some of the Celeste, these are indie games, then City Skylines and all that. Let's
Yeah.
just say it's
I bet Swimming already own most of them.
yes, before this thing exists. But that being said, as you can see, right, if you don't own a game for 15 ringgit a month, it's actually very generous.
Yeah. And I think
Very generous.
it's if you play a lot,
Yes,
If you play a lot and you
like if you
stream
can
as well,
finish
then
at least
game
two,
correct.
three games.
Correct. So it depends on whether you think 50 ringgit a month worth it. Because if you do use over a year, you do get the same price for buying a game. But of course, you have the thing like you do not need to commit to a game, like buying a game, for example.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You want to
uh,
try a little bit of everything.
correct. So which is one of the game that I tried, not on Steam by the way, on Xbox because I can't find the screenshot on Xbox because this is a Linux. Long story. Unpacking is an indie game. This is an indie game about unpacking, which is ironic because my table is a mess. But yeah,
It's a
uh,
continuous effort to try to
correct.
make our desk clean.
Yes. So either way, this means that the feature for Xbox on PC is free now. So Xbox is not just a hardware; it's the competitor to Steam, right, on Microsoft, which is scary and there's some. But for now, Steam still hold monopoly
More
in a way that they
competition
have
is
more
good.
collection. Correct.
Yeah,
In
more
this
competition is
case,
good.
Xbox coming in as an underdog, so I'm okay with it now,
Well,
right?
that's there. The space is already covered as well by something like Humble Trove. Like Humble
Yeah.
Bundle has their own subscription
Ah,
service as well. It's not as like well known though, but
Yeah.
correct.
they do have it.
And Xbox Game Pass actually works with Humble Bundle together with the pass. So there's some commercial collaboration as well.
Mm.
So I think that's about it for news of the day. Let's show off the thing that you have.
No, no. Speaking of games, I think Chilyong mentioned that he backed a lot of Kickstarter games. Like,
Yeah,
what's the list, and maybe we should back them up, or
No,
are you
it's
backing
books,
all of
right?
them?
books.
It's
It's not.
traditional.
It's RPG as in not computer RPG.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
Uh,
that is actually the tradition. Okay, so I read long time back when I was young and I want to be a game designer. The gateway to do proper game design is actually RPG. You have to design scenarios. You have
the
to
one that I
design.
backed, the biggest one that I backed recently is old school essentials,
Yep.
which is actually a repackaged version of the D&D basic and expert
Yep.
PX. They call it B. It's nothing real. It's just that they just repackage and reorganize the text and stuff.
So this is not
Yep.
an online RPG. This is like pen and
No,
paper RPG.
yeah, this pen and
Yep.
paper RPG.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a very interesting actually.
I still
I mean,
play them like at least once a week.
yep.
So yeah, if
Oh,
you're if
who's the game master?
I'm I'm the game master.
You're the game master. Okay.
Yeah.
The game master
Because
buy the stuff. Put it
yeah,
this way,
because the
the
well,
player just go
just
empty-handed.
come. Yeah. No, because having a good GM is like the important thing with these adventures.
I'm
Like
not a
if you
good
don't have a
GM,
very
but
quick,
I'm glad that people can bear with me. It's just that I like I would like to train more on the improvisation and storytelling.
yeah, the creativity and the storytelling and having like quick wits, especially with strange player requests,
Yeah,
would be
Correct.
like
yep.
yeah. That which is so apparently that's the reason why I don't know if you've heard of the light novel. Like, um, I forgot that the Danmachi one. What's the English translation? Is it okay
Danmachi.
to yeah Danmachi? Apparently this is from an actual yeah. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Apparently this was an actual scenario where one of
Uh-huh.
the players tried to pick up one of the
Oh, okay.
um, like NPCs in the dungeon, and then like apparently, is it wrong to pick up girls in the dungeon? And then now there's a light novel. Apparently,
And
that's the
recently,
history.
I think recently also the on the Anglosphere is the Critical Role.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Critical
Yeah, yeah,
Role.
yeah, yeah. It's funny. It's very good production.
What was that again?
Yeah,
The show on.
anything should be possible if you hit like a critical hit on something, or
Yeah,
Yes.
like you do a 20 something
yeah,
D20. If you hit a D20, then
sure, sure.
even if it's like completely implausible or illogical,
Yep,
then you hit a D20, then it happens, and that's where your
Correct.
GM
yep.
skills uh, come into
No,
play.
yeah. The one that I'm playing is a bit actually very different as well. I'm running right now. I'm running a Blades in the Dark session, which is
Mhm.
the system which is called. It's not a D20 system. It's a D6 system, but it's power. The engine is called Powered by Apocalypse, where the referee is not GM. It's like one of the players as well. It's just that
Mm-hmm.
the DM is the one that interpret the situation. Uh, uh, that actually forced me to expand my mind a bit in terms of improvisation because I uh, unlike D20 system traditional D&D is that I cannot control the player on the world building. So we build the world together.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So that things are a bit more wild. And also is that what's funny is that of course I'm hoping that they get a fail roll so I can have my ways of changing their world and something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, so are they all RPGs? The one you backed, pen and paper?
Yeah.
All of them. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
When are you
Support.
expecting to
Apparently,
get them?
apparently this few years is there's a revival on that, and then a lot of the older gens artists, they start to have doing Kickstarter to have a new work, or previously they were doing online PDF zine, and now they decided to have the printout
Mhm.
version. So
Yeah.
it just came together. And
When are you
apparently
expecting?
D&D is pretty hot right now, even though I don't play
Yeah.
D&D.
Like
So
apparently
I'm
because you can now play D&D online with Zoom
Yeah.
calls, so people are
yes.
I'm playing
bored.
something called the old school, like I'm still prefer the old type of
Mhm.
D&D gameplay. But this day when you
Mhm.
say D&D, they assume we play the fifth edition. But
Yeah.
I I
Correct.
which I'm not a fan of. I prefer because a lot of the new players, or the way it was encouraged to play, is very mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
So uh,
It's also
and
easier
I
to
met
follow.
yeah I'm in I actually were in a few. It depends on the group as well. It's not
Yeah.
really all bad, but uh, they often forget that the main point of playing an RPG is for the role play, is called, and the freedom.
Correct.
So if I really need something that is really meticulous in terms of mechanics, might as well I just go back to play board games
Yeah.
or
Correct.
PC games. Yeah,
Swimming?
Yeah, makes sense. So I got a phone. I got a new phone, and the reason for new phone is really
yeah. And you
okay.
bought it
It's
before you ask our opinion,
correct. Correct. I
which is a lie.
yes. So this is the Samsung. Uh, it's not the Note 20 lah. It's called the S22 Ultra. It's effectively a Note because of
I-
this guy.
Is there a non Ultra S22?
No, there is a stand. There is the S22 Plus, which is without the pen, one tier above,
Ah,
just a phone. Then you have the normal S22. So that it's called Ultra because they add more things, but the Plus have the same camera type anyway. If just that you don't get the super beef up spec, which I think is overkill. And here's the reason actually. My phone, the original phone, the Note 10, this is the final year to it get final year it get security update. So in theory, I don't have to buy the phone. It's just that I want it, so I can afford it. I get it. And so if I were to change the phone, the proper way is to do it next year, not this year. And the reason is this: the thing about mobile applications, you will undo your normal life of mobile application. That do not like it if your phone it deviate away from the operating system provided by the phone provider, right? They do not like it. So every
These
time
days
you
less lah.
flag,
No, I think these days are less.
right? So I know I'm a bit paranoid because if I flash, I worry that if flash my phone, my old Note 10, with another firmware, which will extend the life of the phone significantly, with modern OS and all that, more newer OS and all that. I worry that it would drive the banking application crazy because I rely
Yeah,
on
just like
those.
bank, they don't like rooted phones,
Correct.
or
So
yeah, third party ones.
correct. So as a result, I'm buying this a bit early, very early. I don't have to, but by next year I really have to replace the phone, and I can only use my Note 10 as a backup device one way or another. Because as I discovered, banking application is
Yeah,
very paranoid. So here's what an interesting experience. When I switch over the phone, they're going to make sure that there's only one instance of the phone that can do the banking application, which I find very interesting. So when you try to have two version, only one can be active at one time, and that's the only one you can use to do your bank operations. So it happens for banks, all the banks one that's given. But interestingly, all the new fintech style company also have this kind of issue, I believe. For example, I think no, I think only I think Funding Society have this problem. I believe it's no. Hello Go have this problem. Hello Go have this problem. They do not allow us to use my phone. I think Stash Away allows it. Funding Society allows it.
You mean the rooted phone?
No, no, no. Only one instance of the app
Oh, okay.
for your account. So I find it
Yeah,
really
that's
interesting.
Well, but
I
it's the
think it's a
same
bit
as WhatsApp, right? WhatsApp is the same
WhatsApp.
thing.
yeah.
Correct. WhatsApp also had the same thing.
Depends on whether they implement an E2E
Correct.
encryption.
So correct. Do I get a lot from the phone? I think, unfortunately, I believe this phone is a bit overkill, but I like
Yeah,
overkill.
I'm a bit unlucky on that side. Is that my Android phone the battery will go away first.
Correct. In my case, my Note 10 lasts very long. It's still very good actually. The only
Yeah,
thing that's not
it's
good is
luck.
that
It's luck
yeah,
to me for me because I'm not lucky with all of them.
yeah, but the back is cracked and I lost the on button.
And I don't even use phone much.
Yes. So but is it good? Yes. If you see my Instagram, you notice that I've been obsessed over birds because I don't have a telephoto lens, and this make it
Yeah,
possible.
and you don't have to bring your heavy
No,
Sawa.
as it turns out, I will still get a telephoto lens because it's not good enough to take photo of sparrows. Okay, I tried. So the phone actually claims to have AI style enhancement for super zoom. I tried it on a sparrow, it doesn't work. It's still blur as hell. So to take photo of sparrow, unfortunately, I have to bring up the big gun. I had to bring out the big gun to get it work. But that being said, I tried it on pigeons. It works. It scares pigeon is a reasonable size lah. So on a reasonable distance, it's still okay. Uh, so there's a lot of camera enhancement lah. To be honest, they do have real camera enhancement, but I already had a proper camera, so whatever the camera advancement on the phone have is not the same thing, right? So, but I do use it a lot. So yeah,
You can
as I
use
say,
your Note. You can use your
uh-huh,
Note 10 as well as as a camera as a replacement for your webcam, like
correct.
using something like Droid Cam OBS or some
Yes.
kind of IP cam.
So yes,
It's one of the cheapest ways to get a really good camera that looks
correct.
professional, but it's not like a full DSLR.
Correct. So what happened to my new phone now? Here's the cool thing. That thing is what I call an hacking opportunity, right? So meaning the phone is old enough to have all the third party firmware, which means more hacking opportunity for me to do stuff.
Well, it's not a
And
backup
that's
phone
true.
anymore because you can put
Yeah,
your banking there with your
correct.
rooted
It's not. Yeah, I
network
can't
image.
do. No, I can't use it for the first place because they only allow one instance at a time. But it give a hacking opportunity lah to do stuff, which I find
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, you should try the webcam, cell
Mm-hmm.
phone as a webcam because that should improve your camera image already, like by
Right,
loads.
correct. So Tristan also bought stuff,
Yeah,
right?
I have yeah. So this is like okay. Let me because my camera does not have autofocus right now. So
Yep.
this is a bone conduction earphone. So you'll see
Mm-hmm.
that this doesn't actually have. Let me get a good. This doesn't have
That.
any holes in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me see if I can get the light correct. So it's how would you say it's just like a piece of plastic, I guess, or rubber. So it's
Yep.
just a diaphragm, and what
Yep.
it does is it it connects to your cheekbone here. So you wear it like this. I'm charging it now because this is a Bluetooth device, so that's why I have this. But you wear it, it goes to your cheekbones, and it uses something called bone conduction. So it was technology developed around the 1970s. It's supposed to help people with like pierced eardrums. So let's say you were diving and then your eardrums are burst, or you have like too much an ear infection, let's say, and so
Mm-hmm.
your ear canal is like blocked or something like that. So it was developed for those kinds of ear problems. So the cochlea, so
Yeah.
the inner ear is still working. So that's where if you remember your, I don't know what your biology classes are, but it's the second year of high school for us in biology. If you remember the ear, you have a cochlea. Well, yeah, you have your outer ear, your
Mm-hmm.
ear, the cartilage stuff, ear canal, your eardrum, and then you have your three small
Mm-hmm.
things: the anvil, the hammer, and I forgot the other one. And
Mm-hmm.
then it stimulates the cochlea. It's like a snail shape of it's like a snail shape, and then it has like hairs. It has liquid inside and it has hairs, and some of them like it makes it tells you your balance, but
Yep.
it also generates like the auditory nerve
Mm-hmm.
to like it changes the sound waves into signals to your auditory nerves. This
Mm-hmm.
bypasses the outer and the middle ear. So all of that hammers and anvils and all of these things bypasses that. It goes directly because it's through the bone. It goes directly and stimulates the cochlea,
Mm-hmm.
and it it changes into like sound. So your brain cannot tell the difference because sound is actually not generated in the ear. Your brain
Yeah.
interprets the vibrations in your ear organs, right? Which is
Yep.
why there's a shortcut. Which is why even if you have an ear infection, broken eardrums, etc., then this
Mm-hmm.
one bypasses all of that. And so that was how it was in the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
Technology is a lot better now. So before it was just like really very very basic. Now you can actually hear music. It's actually pretty good. You can actually hear this louder if you block your ears. So
Mm-hmm.
usually, if you block your ears, the sound is softer, right? Because you're
Yep.
what do you call this? You're like the sound, the air cannot get through. It cannot vibrate into your ear canal. But this one, you actually hear it more because now you don't
Mm-hmm.
hear anything outside. And what's
Correct.
great about this, the reason why I bought this is because I like to listen to a lot of things while programming, like
Mm-hmm.
podcasts, let's say, or like just background
Mm-hmm.
music. But the problem is, I've started having some ear irritation
Right. Right.
on
Right. Right.
my IEMs. Like IEMs are great if you want to listen critically to music, like you want to just
Mm-hmm.
appreciate music, right? Because you can
Yep.
hear all of the like the drums, all of the what they call this, the strings, the instruments, etc. So it's very, very, very nice. But
Yep.
because it goes straight into your ear canals, it can be very tiring after like 2 hours listening. This one is also great. It's very, very good in terms of music reproduction, but
Mm-hmm.
it sweats, for example. It can be sweaty and it can be heavy. And so you can't really
Yep.
like walk around with this because afterwards you just get fatigued. Like you just want to get your ear breathing and then you put it back and then eventually you have to remove it. This one until it runs out, that which is why it ran out like at an inopportune
I
time. I was
have
using this
I
just
have some
now.
similar issue with
Yeah.
Tristan where the ear canal the ear the I mean the canal the hole actually my skin is the the silicon the silicon
Hmm.
cap actually irritates my skin.
Yeah.
So I think that's
So
is sort of a
I've
soft tech problem.
I've tried many ear tips because I have IEMs as well, right? You have your spin fits that just like go through, and then there's like those ear tips that just rest outside. I've tried many of them. And then you have your foam that are like a lot better sometimes, but they
Yeah,
go through. It's not like the spin fit, but
but
so basically it expands inside.
yeah, and
If
also
you
it
see it,
doesn't last the foam
yeah.
one. For me, the most
So
comfortable one was the foam one, but they don't last.
mhm. Yeah, exactly. They can get very dirty because like
Mm.
it's all there, all the way in there. It expands, and then all of your earwax goes inside. But yeah, it's also it's not the same as this one. So that's why I bought this one. The fatigue is the most important. Like you can just wear this all day, and sometimes you even forget it's there because it never goes inside your ear. It's just outside. So I
And
think that yeah.
if it's water resistant, you can wear it while swimming.
Yes. So
Yeah,
this one though is
some of them are
not
advertised
for
as a
swimming.
sport or
Yes,
swimming
it is.
compatible.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? Compatible
So,
with me?
Yeah,
mhm.
swimming.
But I don't think you can wear this swimming. don't
I
think.
mean, if he has
Oh,
the IP rating, the correct IP
yeah,
rating.
this is IP55, and I think the best one that I found is IP55 from Shocks. This one is an Lenovo X4. It's also bone conduction, but I don't
And
think this is like as
and
good as the Shocks, but it's
and I
also
actually
cheaper.
read something recently, because the war in Ukraine, where
Mm-hmm.
the US donated some of the Javelin the heat-seeking missile.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the launcher itself has a bone conductive. Uh, the audio, so that you can hear it even though when it's during the war it's too loud
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
for the lock-on sound. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to last thing about bone conduction. Do you know that? Do you know that Beethoven actually put a stick between his teeth
Uh,
when he was deaf? And the reason for that is so that he can still feel the sound through his teeth to his death. He discovered bone conduction,
Yeah.
in short.
Mm-hmm. Bone
So yeah,
conduction was, I think it, yeah, I mean, if you can already feel sometimes, like when you're listening on live concerts, that it
correct,
resonates in your bones. Like I guess
correct.
that's where the what we call this, the saying, you can feel it in your bones, came from,
Yep.
because it can resonate. And I guess that's like, if you're in the instrument, you want to hear it closer because you're going deaf, and then
Yep.
you realize that, oh, if I put my skull next to this piano, then
Hmm.
I can hear better, even though my the rest of, like, everything else, I don't hear anything. So
Yes.
apparently, yeah, the cochlea is still working, even though the rest of the ear is not done. So yeah, it's like this. It wears like this. It never goes inside. It just goes outside, and it
Hmm.
it conducts through the cheekbones
Yep.
here. So there's a, like like a cheekbone, a large cheekbone here, and then this vibrates towards inside your inner ear. And if you just leave it like that, if you adjust it just correctly, you just don't realize it. Like, it's like your glasses. You wear the glasses, and then you just don't realize that you're wearing the glasses until someone
Precisely.
mentions, "Oh yeah, you have a glass," or you just want to adjust it. So it's great
Hmm.
because you spend like 4 hours programming, and you
Hmm.
can listen to music or like background music, and then you're not annoying your colleague, for example, because
Hmm.
nobody else can hear it, because
Hmm.
you need to be like touching it in order to, or it to be touching like a solid piece. Like, if you put it at your desktop while
Hmm.
it's working, then of course it will transfer the vibrations to your desktop, and your whole
Hmm.
desktop becomes a speaker. But yeah, so
Hmm.
this is one of, I think I would recommend this for people. This is again the X4. So this one is
Hmm.
cheaper, about 100 ringgit. The
Hmm.
more high quality ones from Shocks are more expensive, about 400 ringgit for the
Hmm.
cheapest one. And the really good one, which apparently has good sound reproduction, is about 800 ringgit. So I'm just trying it out. So that's why I got like the cheapest bone conduction, which is is the X4. The X3, which I used to have, is not a bone conduction. It's just like, it's the same thing, but it has speakers, actual speakers, so it does not
Hmm.
vibrate the thing, and people can hear what you're playing. Yeah, so this is I would recommend people. You should so Chiliang, if you're having problems with ear stuff, then I would recommend this as well. Not a
Yep.
bad investment, I would say.
well, these days, because I normally, if I go out, I don't wear anything. It's just
Mm,
these days I just got at home. I just got myself beside
yeah.
the going live right now. I just got
Mm,
myself a really good live speaker.
mm. Yeah, well, if you have
So
speakers and you don't mind, like, leaking sound out to
Yeah.
anyone who's listening beside, like, for example, conference calls or like meetings or those things,
mhm,
and yeah, if you have a soundproof room, then that's fine, right?
I can
correct.
actually make it work, but I'm too lazy to do it. Just
Hmm.
have to make sure the positioning of the mic is correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's it. Thanks for listening, by the way. Also, of course, I need to do an apology.
Why?
I know it's been fun. It's been fun. But first, I need to do apology. Thursday is actually my office day, meaning I did not do a lot of preparation on Thursday actually. So
Yeah,
we figure out.
it was gonna be low effort from us anyway because the thing started as just us talk together.
Yeah, we
just
just
talk.
going to.
It's an
Yeah,
extension of a meetup after party and sort of a feed. Especially these
correct.
days, we seldom attend a physical after party.
Yes, correct. So with that said, thanks for listening
Physical
to us
meetup,
again.
and of course, there's no after party for online
Yes,
meetups.
maybe we will have buka puasa. I do not know when. Maybe.
Yeah, let's try it.
Yes.
It's gonna be normalized anyway. No point to hold up, I guess, for even for my side, even though I haven't
Yep.
contracted it yet.
So yeah, thanks for listening. And next week again, there'll be another random stuff. And the stuff that we buy, that will be only coming in May,
Oh,
mid of
the
May.
stuff, the stuff I bought, I don't know when they can come.
The NRF?
Yeah, correct. So it'll be a while before we have some other interesting stuff. Let's see. So with that said, thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
And yeah, bye. All right, I'm going to click end broadcast.